is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? My name's Tony, aka Star Wars Sith, and welcome to another episode of Sith Talk, where we talk Star Wars news, rumors, and coming soons. Today we have on the show Patrick from the ToyPhotoGFR Channel. How you doing, Patrick?
Very good. Thanks for having me, Tony.
Awesome. Great. All right, so tell us a little bit about your channel, what your channel focuses on, and where we can find you.
Okay, so my channel basically focuses on, I do photography, do creative images of Funko Pops, just Star Wars Funko Pops from my collection. And I try to recreate movie scenes and iconic moments with them. And I do a little behind the scenes and starting to get more into expanding the content to giving more tutorials and things like that to really show people how simple it is and things like that. And I think one of the things I really set out to do is try to show, like, I do commercial photography. So I have everything from a Hasselblad to Canon, film, digital. I had one of the very earlier digital SLRs Canon even made. So I've been in this game for a bit, but I chose to use the iPhone to challenge myself to kind of really do something that would be a challenge yet fun. And also to make it easy and to show people you don't have to have a ton of stuff. Like, I use very simple Lume cubes, very inexpensive lighting equipment that I can control with one of my other iPhones, or even if I want to use the same one and use my camera or something else, it can control them very easily. And I'm just doing it with an iPhone. Again, as long as you can create a scene, light it properly, it's just the way you're capturing it, right? We used to use pinhole cameras. So for me, just kind of show people how you can be very creative with very simplistic tools and come out with a really banging image is really the intent on what I started. So it's kind of started out, like many guys, I know a lot of toy photography really kind of took a huge leap in COVID time.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of got involved in this. So it was kind of funny. I had two kids that kept talking about wanting to get monetized on YouTube, and hear their dad very involved in that, and sharing, like I said, my Star Wars Funko collection in a way that I think people really enjoy. So we've been doing that, and we've even started doing our what's in the box little unboxings,
Yes.
And so people are reacting, having a lot of fun. So I like where we've gone in the expansion of what we're doing, not just putting an image, kind of expanding a little more on the BTS, even giving a little Photoshop kind of, what we're doing to get that final image. So I think people are really enjoying it. And then with the community, with toy photographers and fellow Star Wars fans like yourself, seriously, Star Wars, Christopher, Andrea over at Padawan Chronicles, Lainey, Noah, you guys, Eric over at Sire Speed, Will, you guys have all been excellent in the community, and have just made it more possible for me to have whatever success I have. I enjoy what I'm doing. Didn't start out to be monetized or anything, but I'm just enjoying what I'm doing. And there's a lot of other creative people out there. Like I'm wearing my Sir Dorcat, my buddy Jared over there. Again, an inspiration, really good kid, young, and he's come up, in my opinion, he's one of those kids that is really taking toy photography by storm and really revolutionized how YouTube is, being a great place to learn and to kind of explore that with a community. So it's been really an excellent trip so far, man.
Nice. So for you guys watching and listening, I'm going to put Patrick's info down in the description for his YouTube and his Instagram. Definitely check him out, because it's some of the best Funko Pop photos I've seen, like, ever. They're just so gorgeous. Even like pops that I don't really like, I'll see his picture and it's like, damn, I think I want to grab it now, because he just makes it look that much better. So I'm going to put all your details below. And for your podcast, you just started. So you want to talk about your podcast real quick too?
Absolutely. And thank you. Yeah. So both Seriously Star Wars and myself got together. So Christopher and I have started what we have is the Star Wars Popcast, where we have a weekly podcast, and they drop every Monday, a new episode. And what we do is we basically just talk about all things Funko, rumors,
Yes.
the latest series, everything. How we acquire them, just again expanding our joy of Star Wars Funko with our friends, our community out there, and just putting out some new content. And we were really excited because on the 7th, we got to participate in the 20th anniversary of the Star Wars Podcast Day.
Yeah.
So we were among with well over 100 other podcasts of Star Wars content out there celebrating. So that was really kind of nice. So we even did a special episode. So we got 2 episodes that dropped this week. So
That was awesome.
it's been a
Yeah.
lot of fun, and it's been a pleasure. And Christopher is a great guy to work with, and he knows the Star Wars Funko, and he does a great job on his reviews and stuff. So it's a pleasure to work with him, man.
For sure. For sure. All right. So everyone that comes on here, you know the drill. I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
So the very first one is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie and why?
All right. So this is a tough one, right? So I would think off the top of my head I'd say A New Hope, but I don't, because Empire to me was the movie of my generation for sure. Empire was that first movie that was not your typical movie. I think, watching Star Wars, I was like 5, 6 years old, 77, 78. I was in kindergarten. I remember proudly sporting my Darth Vader, cheesy costume. They don't look like costumes they do today. It was the cheesy mask with the outfit with a picture of Darth Vader on it, black and yellow. But man, I had a cape. I had gloves. Dude, it was hotter than hell. But at 5, and I had my parents had fashioned a lightsaber out of a flashlight because they didn't have anything like that then. So like I was hardcore as a kid. Like I was Darth Vader, like instantly. Awesome. So Empire Strikes Back was huge because you had that huge reveal, right? The spoiler alert, he was Luke's father. So that was huge, right? That was, you didn't say anything. But I think it was the first time as a young kid, I watched the first one, really loved it. Great story. But then this one built on top of it. And then I think it matured you as a kid to be like, you know what? There's something a lot deeper than this space movie and laser swords. Like seriously. So I think for me, hardcore Empire, because it ended on a dark note. The bad guys didn't win. Like how many, big box office movies the bad guys win? None. And being a Vader fan and all that, I loved it. Like so, Empire Strikes Back, hands down.
Nice. No, that's a solid choice. Like for sure. Mine's Revenge of the Sith, and it's just to this day I remember going to the theater for that Thursday midnight release, because back in 2005 you had to wait till midnight to see that movie. Now, like how it is now, you can see it at 5 or 6 the day before, and just going in like knowing what the ending's gonna be, but seeing how they get to it, because we all knew like he's gonna turn to Vader, he's gonna turn bad. But just how they did it.
How's it going to happen?
Yeah, right? It was just so beautiful. So for me, like that holds my number 1 spot.
No, it's up there because having seen all those, the original trilogy, and I always joke that, I grew up in the dark times. Like I grew up with 35 years of absence of anything but those 3.
Yeah.
So I watched those over and over. I mean, I think my uncle had his own reel-to-reel of A New Hope.
Nice.
Dude, we were hardcore. I had like it was like a red cassette tape that you like hand cranked, and you got little scenes. Like you would have like Luke fighting the stormtroopers before he swung across.
Yeah.
And he was shooting at them and everything. So you got that, and it was like reel to reel, like little. It was kind of like almost like the viewfinder.
Yeah.
It was more movie style. So it was kind of neat back then, and I think that's why you have really loyal OG, what they call the OG trilogy fans.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what it was. But I agree. I can't argue with any of the kids that really grew up with the prequels, because I was very excited to see the rest of that story.
Yeah.
And Revenge of the Sith just in the prequels crushed it. So yeah, I could see why you would choose that, my friend. That's a good choice on your behalf there.
For sure. So the next one is, what is your favorite Star Wars show? So it could be animated or live action. Just one.
Oh, see, if you said what you're animated and then that would be easier. All right. Pressure on. Okay. I'd say The Mandalorian.
Nice.
The Mandalorian. I thought Kenobi was good and it had good parts, but overall, I didn't like it as much as I love the story of the Mandalorian. And
Yeah.
I enjoy. I think I enjoy the fact that it's a new character. You do get some cameos of other things going on and a lot of good fan service, but it delivered in a good way. It's not
Yeah.
like campy and really cheesy. Some things they kind of throw in there to be a little tongue in cheek, but I think it's just a really well done story. Characters that you didn't know, but are tying into other stories from other storylines that you've seen, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting ties back all the way back to Clone Wars and stuff and prequel
Yeah.
trilogies, with Cobb Vanth Speeder. So like there's so many little pieces in that call back to really cool stuff throughout all the sagas. I really like that series. That's good to see something beat it like I'd love to see Ahsoka beat it, because if you ask what were my two favorite, I was going to say Rebels would be my animated over.
Rebels is so good.
It had a different color palette, a different
Yeah.
style of animation, but like the characters you loved at the end, like you
Yeah.
loved them. So I like Ezra was like, holy crap, well, Ezra could be like the next Skywalker, like he was
Yeah.
he was getting to that level like as a young one. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
dude, he was some training. This could be, and it led you for a little bit like, could he be persuaded by Maul?
Yeah.
Right.
He's
And
turning dark
that
for a
way.
little bit.
Like, I still, hey, you know what? We don't know yet. Could he spent a lot of time
Yeah.
in this outer region with Thrawn? Who knows? So,
Yeah.
we could see, maybe still has that Sith holocron. Who knows?
Nice. So no, that's a solid choice for shows. It's Clone Wars, but Rebels is so close to it just because there's so much good story in Rebels. But Clone Wars just takes it for me just because all the Maul stuff, first of all, there's a lot more Maul stuff with his brother
Tons.
is awesome. All the stuff with the clones and Obi-Wan and Anakin, but just that last season that
So
basically
the last three
the last four part is
bangers.
like Revenge of the Sith 2.0. Like it just blew me away.
The
So
tie-ins were done beautifully. Like her
yeah,
walking up, that whole like this is Jedi business, civilian, like kind of thing.
yeah,
But you're seeing the conversation that you saw in the actual live action. So it was really cool. I loved how they
yeah,
tied that really nicely. And then you got to see Order 66 from that perspective as well. Like I loved
yes,
how they've introduced it to us in different ways with Jedi Fallen Order, that cutscene that they did,
yep.
this we're even seeing some of that in the Mandalorian, and obviously
Book
looks
of
like some
Boba,
season 3. Yeah, so
Kenobi,
it's
yeah,
great to see. It's great to see. And quite honestly, I kind of like even though they're fragmented and small pieces, I love what we got in the Vader scenes going through the temple in the
yeah,
Kenobi series. I
yeah,
mean, whew,
whew.
that was good.
Yeah,
And you knew that you had a lot of families and kids watching it. So they, obviously did it in a tasteful way, but that was pretty good. It was pretty cool.
for sure. So the last question is, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Vader.
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 Can't go wrong with Vader.
Vader. Come on. Come
Yeah.
on. You can't pick a more iconic character across anything,
Anything.
right?
Yep. Yep.
I honestly, his silhouette alone sells.
Yeah.
Right? You're just like, I know exactly who that is just by the
Yep.
silhouette. Like, there's nobody else that's that. He was just such a looming presence, right? Looming
Yeah.
presence. And as a kid, not knowing at the time that like, oh, James Earl Jones did the voice, like as a young kid, there wasn't a behind the scenes for a period of time after. So
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just like, dude, that Vader, that's all that was it. The respirator and that was Vader. And he didn't need a lot of them to like know when he's around, it's going down and it's not going to be good for you. Like he was just awesome, dude. Very well done. So I really even liked the fan film that they did where they did that recut of the Obi-Wan fight with Vader.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah.
So like that, like, oh, I wish I got that as a kid because that Vader and him seeing that was crazy.
Yeah.
But that he didn't really. He wasn't like he wasn't like you could see lightsaber fights evolve in the prequels. Like to see
Yeah.
the Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting scenes, the way they were swinging those blades and all that, like I can imagine when you see the behind the scenes footage and you hear how they had to tell them to stop making the swoosh sounds and the lightsaber.
Yep.
Because they're going full boat, man. Like,
yeah.
And like they had to shoot over and over and over, probably because they were making the sound effects. And these guys mastered it by the end. But it was good to see that elevation because you kept hearing like Jedis were around for thousands of years, and you know they were protectors, and there's thousands. So when you got to see the prequels and you got to see all these Jedi, you're like, oh wow, okay, now I'm kind of seeing that. And then you kind of got the Clone Wars, right? But you didn't really get it. You kind of got the tease and open to it. And then you kind of had like where they're going to be fading it out shortly after. And we're seeing that now more in the new content we're getting, like Bad Batch and things like that. So I think the way they're fleshing those things out is working very well. But you know, what's your opinion?
No, yeah, like so he's pretty much like number 2 for me. But my number 1 is just Maul, man. I just love Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a similar thing, just like the appearance. Like when you see him, you know it's going down. And then like his story and animated just adds so much depth to him. He's just so underutilized, underused, man. And hopefully we get him back in some way, some form, and something, whether it's like a Tales of the Sith and we get to see like a young Maul training with Palpatine or something like that. That just would be mind blowing.
They need to do that. I mean, I agree because I'll be honest, like Maul would have been my second. It's funny because I love Luke. Just love him. I love Mando.
Of course, yeah.
They have a lot of great characters, but Maul, one, it's just fun to like the bad guy once in a while. Right?
Yeah.
Maul is just so badass.
Badass.
Like I'll tell you, when the prequels started and the Phantom Menace, all I needed to see on the trailer was him hand out. One open and then
blew me away.
The other one. I was like, take my I had to change my pants.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? That was awesome. It blew me away. And that's what I like about what Star Wars has always done. They've always kind of taken something and built on it. You know, before that, we didn't get any double blades. You know, I think in a game, maybe in a game, but
like there was
can't remember. It might have been an Old Republic. You know, with the girl that has the yellow double blade.
Yeah,
but I can't remember if he came out first. I think he came out first.
I think he did because all those games weren't they like early 2000. I don't remember anything in the 90s. Like
you could be right. It could have been after.
So,
but Maul is just awesome as well. And to what bothered me, and I don't know if it bothered you, to have such an awesome character brought right, you're like right to the forefront of, dude, he's like the new Vader. Right? He's badass.
Yeah.
And then they kill him off. I was like, dude,
I'm so mad.
You're doing what they did with Venom in the early, you know, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. You bring in the biggest arch nemesis and you kill him in the same film. You can't introduce the biggest badass and kill him like in one story. Like it wasn't like months went by. It was like a week, you know, days. So when they killed him off in the same, I was like, are you kidding me? So I was so pumped when Filoni and Lucasfilm were able to bring him back with Sam Witwer. Because I think where he built on Ray Park's performance and to get more performance, because we had 2-3 lines from him.
Yeah, not much.
He was just menacing with swinging the lightsaber around in his look, man. He kills, man. Yeah. So I love Maul. Maul's a definite backup for me. So I'm not surprised he's your first, dude.
You know that was George's idea to bring Maul back in Clone Wars, right?
I didn't know it was going to be through Clone Wars. I thought they were, because I heard the whole thing of him and then having who's the Twi'lek with the Sith markings.
Oh, Darth Talon.
She becomes his apprentice, and that's how the sequel.
That was his sequels, yeah. But when Filoni was doing Clone Wars, I guess George was there. And he said to Dave, he was like, you know what you should do? And Dave's like, what? He's like, you should bring Darth Maul back. And Dave was like, really? How? And all George says was like, you'll figure it out. And that was the whole conversation. And then he brought Maul back. So every time I hear that story, I'm like, that's so awesome, man.
because
Oh,
his coming back was it was short, but it was a cool little storyline.
yeah,
Brief. Dude loved, Mother Talzin give them the robot legs and everything.
yeah,
It was really cool. And then to see how he elevates, through it, and even kind of befriending Ezra. That, I mean,
that was great.
such a different character, right? Because he's basically telling him like, yeah, I was once about a man of great power, but I got used and this and that, and now I have a different path. So I thought everything that Whitmore did with his character brought him to a whole new level. Like we got to see him working with the Pikes. So when we saw his cameo in Solo, which you must have freaked out when
Yep.
that happened.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, they're like, well, Maul, but they didn't see Clone Wars. They
Yep.
missed out on all that content. So, if you haven't seen Clone Wars, watch Clone Wars.
Yep. That's for you, Andrea. Finish it. But but all right, so I got a few articles we'll get into before we get into the fun. But the first article I have is that they announced a new Qira book that's releasing sometime this year, and
Nice.
it's called Crimson Climb, and it takes place kind of during the Solo movie. So you know how at the beginning she's with Han, but then he leaves, and then they're gone for a period of time, and then when he finds her later, she's already working for what is that that crime
Crimson
syndicate
Dawn.
called? Crimson Dawn. Yeah.
Crimson Dawn.
So I guess this book kind of shows that story of how she rose in the ranks of Crimson Dawn. So what do you think of that? Yeah,
that's awesome, because I thought her character is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and she had some pretty damn awesome fighting skills that we got to see. And that's why I said, like, when we were talking the other night with the Pops being able to like be laying down now or whatever positions, like have her sliding across the floor with the blades out, that'd be awesome, right?
So
but she was a great character, so to get a little more backstory, because I think we didn't really get much in her like novel wise. It's all been through graphic novel, right? Comics and
comics through comics. But what's interesting about this book, there could be a bunch of Darth Maul in it, because at the end of Solo, she's been working for Maul and she knows him. So maybe it'll show like Maul recruiting her and her doing stuff with Maul and things like that. Her. Yeah. So hopefully there's some Maul stuff in that book, but I'm kind of looking forward to that whenever it drops.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That will be awesome.
All right. So the next one I got, this just dropped today, this news. Disney announces first ever cable TV release of the Mando. So let me go down here to when. On February 24th, they're just going to release the first episode of the first season, chapter 1 of The Mandalorian, on ABC, Freeform, and FX. So it's a week before season 3 drops. But that's pretty crazy that they're doing this. They're really trying to build that hype up. I mean, I feel the hype is there already. But that's kind of cool if there is people that haven't seen it yet to randomly see it, because they're probably going to get hooked right away, because that first episode was great.
I agree. I mean, The Mandalorian's a solid show all the way around.
Yeah.
Conceptually, like visually, musically, the goddamn soundtrack's ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, to think that, he created with a recorder, the opening credits.
Yeah.
That show is hands down so well done. I'm not surprised, but like every station and channel's kind of doing something like that now, right? Like, you got like Paramount will put it on, so that you can see it after, like the 1883 or something like that after Yellowstone, right? And they give you like maybe 1 or 2, but the rest you got to subscribe to see it. So I see more and more networks kind of moving to that kind of platform, and they're also kind of like family affiliates of Disney, like ABC, Freeform, all that.
Oh, that's true.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? That's an umbrella company to them, ABC, all that. So put it out there. It's not like they're losing rights or money or anything. So I can see that, and it's just going to try to expand the audience. Maybe you got some people. I don't know that many people that haven't watched The Mandalorian, because so many people that don't watch really Star Wars have come up to me and said, I watched that show, The Mandalorian. That's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So I think The Mandalorian has a very wide appeal. So if it broadens their subscription base, that's probably what they're going for, but
yeah,
power to it, man. It's a great show. So more people watch it, the more content we get of it.
No, for sure. So this next one, so I was reading this article, and it's funny. They got the info from Star Wars Theory interview he just did with Nick Gillard. So Nick Gillard is
Yes.
the stunt coordinator for all the lightsaber fights that we love. So in that interview, he revealed how Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, at the end how it's Yoda fighting Dooku
Yep.
after Dooku fights Anakin and Obi-Wan. So originally it was going to be just Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting Dooku, and it was going to be a longer, bigger fight, right? But then George came on set one day, and he just out of nowhere was like, hey, I just want the doors to explode open, and I want Yoda to show up. So all of a sudden, it just changed, like, last minute to Yoda fighting Dooku instead of that long fight. Like, yeah, he just showed up out of nowhere. He's like, yeah, I just want – and actually, I think the quote is in here. It's pretty hilarious. He says, however it starts, the blast doors are going open and there's Yoda. That's all he wanted. So he had them switch it up to choreograph it to that, which is hilarious. What do you think about that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. But it's funny because you have, you're George Lucas, right? You command some authority and you have a vision. And a lot of people are on board, right? They're on the initiation bus day one with your vision for Star Wars. So they're going to try to do the best they can. So I can see George Lucas says he wants fucking Yoda. There's Yoda, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's the godfather of Star Wars, for God's sake. So he gets what he wants. So I get that, and I've seen that in, other companies I've worked with, where they come and they look at the display and they're kind of upset at the display, and it's like, oh, it wasn't plugged in. Plug it in. Their demeanor completely changed. It's like, big clap, I loved it. And they walk away and you're like, wow, that was a crazy sighting. You know what I mean? So I've seen that. So it's kind of cool. So not to be unexpected from him.
Yeah.
I did like that the story that you had covered as well. The other way that Anakin and Obi-Wan fought no high ground.
Yeah.
Oh my. I almost think that might have been a little better. I don't know.
It's crazy to see how that would have turned out. Like
right.
I wish they would have recorded it and it would have been a deleted scene that we could have like seen with the visual effects. But
they did record. Didn't he say they did record it?
But like the stunt recorders doing it, not like them in costume with the effects. Like the stunt guys doing it, he has on video. That's what he
brutal.
said.
That's brutal because that would have been. I can only imagine like him just grabbed him by the throat, and it was kind of like the accidental.
Yeah,
because when he said that, you know what I thought of when Maul and Ahsoka are fighting in those last.
Oh, she kind of did that, yeah.
And she grabs it and it almost gets him.
Yeah,
and then she makes the comment, well, I guess you're lucky Anakin isn't here because you're not doing so. You're not on your best day or something.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, that was so good.
So he mentioned another one, and oh man, so he said that there was a longer version of the Qui-Gon and Maul fight, the one on Tatooine. So remember when he's going with Anakin, he jumps off the speeder, they fight, and then Qui-Gon jumps on like the ramp of the ship and it flies away. Yeah. So in his extended version, all that first fight happens, he jumps on the ramp, but then Maul grabs onto the bottom of the ramp with his fingers like this. So he's dangling from the ramp as the ship is taking off. Yeah. He flips onto the ramp and they continue fighting on the ramp for a little bit more. Oh, how cool would have that been if we would have had awesome.
That? I always thought that scene was cut short anyway. So I'm not surprised. They probably did like a couple versions of it, but that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, but he had that choreographed. They so when I heard that,
cool I was to hear these other like possibilities that could have been, because I don't know, even the idea of like, almost like you dismembered Anakin, not kind of accidentally, but you're just trying to get your lightsaber to fight him off, save your life, and it took his limbs off. Oh well, so
And he wouldn't have been. He might not have been burned either, because like it wasn't like a hill sliding down. It was like a flat where they landed.
Yeah, they were like next to the same line. So, it could have been interesting. So
that would have changed a lot. So all right. So the next thing we're gonna get into, and this was Patrick's idea, which is great. We're gonna take a look at our favorite scenes from everything Star Wars, everything. So we're gonna have all the movies, the shows, animated, live action. So I'm gonna have Patrick show his first one, and then I'm gonna show mine. Then we're gonna go back and forth, showing our best scenes. So we're gonna start with the Phantom Menace, episode 1. So I'm gonna share Patrick's screen first. So if you want to talk about this and start it off.
All right. So it's hard to just pick like one scene, right?
Yeah.
Scene, because I would say it would go between I would say like this scene and that scene, right? But if I've got to pick one scene from it, this introduction of this character,
yes,
it's a showstopper. Like this was like, holy shit, this was awesome.
Yeah,
like you can't deny it. Like that entrance, the music, and taking off the robe.
Yeah.
And those guys are like, dude, I guess we're gonna have to get to work here. They took to it. You're like, whoa, this is going down. Best, and one of the best intros.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Loved it. So if I had to pick one scene from Phantom Menace, this would be it.
Yes. So for all you guys listening on audio, it's a picture of Darth Maul igniting his dual lightsaber right before he fights Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, which it's epic. So that's yours for the Phantom Menace, and it's kind of funny. So I'm going to share mine right now, and mine's basically almost the same as yours. So that just any part from that sequence from when they introduce Maul or they're fighting the whole way through, that's just my favorite scene. Like that scene is just, every time I rewatch Phantom Menace, I'm almost like antsy and like not paying attention because I want to hurry up and get to this part because I love this part so much.
See, that's why I love my Disney Plus, because I forward right to it.
Pause
it. And now, and I got to the habit now that I'll rewind it right to the beginning of that part and pause it. So when I come back and I just resume, boom, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. But yeah, just that battle right there, just so iconic, man. And poor Qui-Gon, rest in peace, my guy Qui-Gon.
See, that if I had to choose my saddest scene, that was going to be my saddest scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, right? For sure.
It had to be the saddest scene. I would have said that, because that was just, it sucked.
So what do you got from Attack of the Clones, episode 2?
All right, what do I got? All right, so that was a tough one, right? So I was going between, the obvious, the double. They love that, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say this scene.
Oh.
Because, right, my reason for going with this scene is because we saw Anakin kill the Tusken Raiders, right? We see him come out, and they killed his mother. So you're like, absolutely, 100% good. I bet you probably cheered good up, yeah, let's go. But when you see this scene later, and he's like, and I slaughtered them like animals, not just the men, the women and children.
Yeah,
I killed them all. And you're like, and I'm like, why didn't she say like, check, please? I'm catching an Uber out of here. Like, what? So to me, that was that first time you see Anakin really fall. Fall. Yep. That's that first. It doesn't take much further than this. After you got the heartstrings of his mother, he was already pulled away as a young kid.
Yeah.
Right. And then to go finally back. So there was a lot of resentment towards, obviously, the Lars family. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get a story in the backstory. He just went after Owen, who was going to kill himself because he was so pissed. Like, wait, you didn't really do anything? Come on.
Yeah.
So I was always kind of surprised, like, there wasn't a backstory like that, or even a what if, because things could have been quite interesting. But this scene to me, I think that's the first fall of Anakin going to really dive deep on the dark side. So that's why I went with this one.
No, that is an awesome choice. I almost forgot about the scene, but the minute I seen this picture of his face, I already knew the whole scene instantly right away. Like, even the women, the children, all of them. Like, wow, it hit so deep.
Animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I was like,
it hits so deep.
Yeah. It doesn't sound so jarring later when you think of Order 66, right? And
it
was there the in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, my scene, I mean, it's tough because there's a lot of really cool scenes, but I love this one particular fight because I think of the fight sequence and then the space chase right after it. But it's on Camino when Obi-Wan is fighting Django. I just love that whole sequence. You got young Boba, the boy Daniel Logan going into the slave one, starting it,
Yeah,
shooting at
he's starting to shoot
Obi-Wan.
it.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
just fighting, and like Django almost gets the best of. I think he kind of does get the best of Obi when he gets him tied
absolutely
up,
does.
and then
Absolutely does.
he gets away. But like just this whole scene, I just freaking loved it, man.
Yeah, I you can't argue this one because I agree. Like, great scene. I didn't think of this one, but I
Yeah,
agree with you 100% because this is the first time you really kind of see one why the clone troopers are so badass, right? They're
yeah,
after him. Why and realizing Boba Fett is an altered version of him, right? So
yep,
cooler. But then you kind of get a little more history with a Mandalorian when you kind of read all that, all the stuff that came out when this movie was released that
yeah,
helps kind of explain backstory, where you kind of learn more that the Mandalorians actually fought the Jedi and their armor had certain purposes to be able to stand off the lightsabers. And so that you really kind of get more. So this is the first time you really get to see any Mandalorian facing off against a Jedi. So I was
yeah,
like, oh, so good
yeah,
bit, good bit.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. All right, so next, what do you got for Revenge of the Sith,
All right, all right,
episode 3?
all right. So one, if I had to go my saddest scene, it would have been Order 66.
With Cody, yes.
I love that, but I think even more as that music kind of got more somber, and then you see the guys on the biker scouts, on their bikes, and they drop back and they kind of look at each other, and then they take that Jedi down. Then they go, Elias Sakura gets it, gun her
Yeah,
down, like shoot her in the back, and then Kwai Mundi or whatnot, sitting there,
yeah,
and he's like
Kiadi
leading them, and he's like
Mundi.
leading them, and he turns around, you just see dude, the
Yeah,
cinematography on that was so well done with the feet. You see
yes.
the feet lining up in the snow.
Yeah,
Like, it was well done, well executed. So I loved it. But let's face it, everybody wants to see you want to see the conversion of Vader. Like,
yep,
how did that happen? How did he become Vader? This was it. So for me, love this. Love this. This was the best scene. Like we were talking earlier, the lightsaber swinging and fighting was so epic. It
yep,
was not. It was a lot different than your Empire Strikes Back, the kind of more one-handed.
yeah, yep,
Vader kind of like swatting them off like a gnat. You
yep,
know, um, and this was like these guys are well trained. This is why Obi-Wan was so legendary, because he fought Anakin, and these guys were at this level. Like,
yeah.
this was it. This is the only scene you could really choose, right? I loved it. Loved
Nice. So, no surprise.
it.
Mine's the same. So yeah, like you basically covered everything. Just that fight was so epic. The dialogue, like you could feel like everyone can like recite that by heart. Like you and my
Yeah,
brother Anakin, like all that is so
yeah.
deep. I have the high ground. Don't
Supposed to
try it.
fight
Like
to destroy the Sith, not join them.
yeah, like
Dude,
it's
the music was like my
yeah,
heart was being ripped out. Like, Ewan
yes.
McGregor sold that scene, and like, man, you're
Yep,
just like,
I hate
man,
you. It just was
yeah.
perfect, man.
But
Like,
hey, you know what's interesting? I heard that scene actually. I don't know where I saw it, but I thought it was like a behind the scene. That the original cut that was overdubbed. The "I hate you." He was actually screaming, "Help me!"
yeah,
and they
I
changed that.
think if you look at his lips, I think he's saying like "Help me, master" or something
He's
like
saying that,
that.
like, "Help me," something,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like, "Whoa, that's kind of crazy when you think of that, because that's even more shitty to just leave him
yeah.
there burning and walk away." I'm like,
And he's saying "Help me." Yeah, that would have.
yes.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
thought that was, yeah, dude. This scene is epic. That is the third of that trilogy. That was it.
yeah.
That's the best. And like I shared with you guys the other night, my wedding gift from James Earl Jones tell me when to expect him in the movies. I was like,
Yes,
I
that's
knew it was coming. So I was pumped. I was pumped. It was just kind of cool to sit there, be the only one in the theater, knowing like, yeah, man, 5 more minutes.
yep.
It was
So yeah,
cool. This is
yep,
epic scene though, man.
yeah. Battle of the Heroes, hands down.
Hands down.
So next up, what do you got for A New Hope,
Ooh,
episode
okay.
4?
Where is my New Hope? Where did I put it? I messed up my slide. Where did you go? Where? Oh, here it is. This in New Hope. The reason I chose this scene, Tony, is because by far this was the scene that sucked me in as a kid. Again,
Oh, that intro, yeah,
5 years old, right? I had no. I'm waiting in this line at the Tri-State Mall. It's like right out in the Philadelphia, Delaware, New Jersey border, right? And I grew up in this town, Marcus Hook, when I was a young kid, and the Star Wars was our lives as kids.
yeah,
And this was so epic because we waited in this godful, awful line. We had no idea. We've never waited in a line for a movie like this ever.
yeah, yeah. Nobody has.
And no one knows what it's about. They kind of said something about sci-fi. So I'm thinking, okay, is it like Doctor Who? I'm kind of hearing Flash Gordon, kind of. I'm like, oh, okay, I love Flash Gordon. My uncle used to take me to go watch old movies like that. So I was like, okay, that's fun. So let's go see this. So when I saw this scene, hook, line, and sink, like fished in, get the net, man. This was it.
Yeah,
This was it. Like to see that, all you saw was the small ship going by, and then this big looming ship that honestly, as a kid sitting on the theater widescreen, seeing this ship slowly engulf the screen, and then you get the back engines and it's shooting at
yeah,
you like, yeah, they're definitely being chased. Like someone's in some trouble. Like, and you got it right from the get-go. And then it went into the story, on board the ship. You got the droids and this and that. And
yeah.
it was just boom, you're thrust it right into this war and an action. And that was it. That's all it took was this scene. It was, to me, this is one of the best scenes to just start a story. It was one that you're thrown right into the mix of it. But that intro of the vehicle, I think that really changed cinematography. I think you see that really wasn't done in that fashion until this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I'm sure he borrowed from some other film directors and photographers, but I do think this, to me, was one of the first times I really realized it, and it changed my way of film. It changed the way I look at everything and view things because I always view it through a lens. So the way that engulfed and took the time to do so, that's it. That was the scene that sold me. So, and there's a lot of stuff in New Hope that I love, but this is
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
this is the one that gets you hooked. This is it. This is the scene.
Nice. Good choice. Yeah. It was tough for me to choose too, but for me, I had to do this, man. It's just so iconic with the message. And
Yep.
years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. You fought in the Clone Wars. Like, it's just that whole scene and conversation and all that. It's just so iconic. And it's crazy how they made a show of the Clone Wars just from like that one line.
That conversation,
Yeah.
right?
It's crazy.
Right? And even in that same conversation, the whole, like, yeah, he was a student of mine until, this pupil of mine.
Best starfighter in the galaxy and
right?
A good friend.
Yeah. And so it's kind of neat as you see, again, as I matured as a kid, seeing the other movies, the movie meant more. Like I had to go back and watch this over and over because, that meant a lot more now. Like, I get it. Like, he was Darth Vader. Like, okay. So I loved how they built that. But this scene, this was I had this as one of my backups for this. This is a good one. Loved this.
Yeah.
Same exact scene. Same exact scene. Loved it.
So actually, I think I messed up our order. We kind of skipped Rogue One and Solo. So if you want to let's go back to Rogue One.
Okay.
So what you got for Rogue One?
All right. The scene that they had to go do the reshoot for the Vader at the end. I loved everything about Rogue One. I thought,
yep. Oh yeah,
there was really no Jedi and all that. No, there really wasn't much Force using. You kind of had
a solid movie.
Spies, like to me. At the same time, I was watching, I think, Turn, which is kind of based on the book George Washington's Spies. Mm-hmm. So what was really cool is kind of seeing Andor in the Rebels thing, and I so many things I've done, I've done for the Alliance, so it was the great story, and it was so different. So I really enjoyed it. But this scene didn't just give fan service. It was the first time we got to see Vader, like, because we really only saw him fight Luke. So we get to see him like really take down some rebels, like with no mercy. Like
no mercy.
None. And in this scene, to me, they borrowed from in another one of my favorite scenes from something else and then animated. But I love this scene. This scene was insane. Like when he throws that guy on the top of the roof and then walks by and then slices him after he walks by, like behind him. And you see him split in two. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Then he impales the guy through the doors. He's handing the key, the plans. That was just so great. That was great.
Yeah.
So this scene, Rogue One, stole the show for me at the end. That scene was awesome. Just awesome.
So it's hilarious because I literally have the same picture that you have, the Vader hallway scene at the end of Rogue One. So I still remember my reaction to this. I was in the movie theater, and I remember you hear him breathing, and then his lightsaber ignites. I sat up, I slid to the end of the chair in the theater, my jaw dropped, and I was shocked that whole sequence because we've never seen Savage Vader like that.
Never.
I was blown away. I did not expect it. And then on top of that, to see the CGI of Carrie Fisher, I was like, oh, and it literally started A New Hope, like right from it. That segue was just beautiful.
You see Vader like clutching his fist, like, damn it, I just missed her. So when he when he gets her, in the next episode, you could see why he's pissed and boarding that ship, and it adds a lot more to it. A lot more to it. And the other thing I loved about Rogue One is from the behind the scenes where you realize that the director is the guy that when they're like, unlock it, the ship, and they board it, he's the one that clicks that, which really, in an interesting way, takes you from that right into A New Hope. So he's really the guy that literally pulled that to make it happen. So I thought that was kind of neat the way they included him in that even. But what a killer scene, Vader. Best Vader scene in live action yet.
Hands down, best Vader scene. And the crazy thing is they almost didn't include it. So I think it was like kind of a last minute thing.
Yeah, it was a reshoot. Yeah.
Did you also know that there was another Vader scene they were going to do, but they didn't? And so what Scarif, that's the beach planet, right? With the water, it looks very tropical. There's going to be a scene where Vader's on Scarif and he's just mobbing down rebels everywhere. So how crazy would that be to see Vader walking through the beach, through the water, through the jungle, just knocking everybody out, just like that scene? But they never ended up shooting it.
I can just imagine someone coming through like the forest.
The jungle,
all you hear is screams of bloody murder, and they're running, and you just see like the water wash up, a helmet wash up, and you see the reflection of the lightsaber in the water, and then the character just looks up, and it's like done.
Yeah, man,
that would have been awesome.
Awesome.
That's crazy.
So, what do you got for Solo?
All right, Solo. Tough one. So I had 3 things. So, all right. I'm going to go for this for Solo. So in Solo, I love the comedic rhyme they gave this character. I liked it. I like this movie a lot. I think it got a lot of flack because a lot of people were pissed about The Last Jedi.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think this got a bad rap because of it. And I know they had to like pull the directors out that were doing it. I guess Disney or Lucasfilm didn't like the whatever spin they were doing on it, and brought Ron Howard in to finish it. So great. But I really thought that this scene was just so in character and embodied the spirit of Han Solo. Like he's in a situation that he's really got his back up against the wall, and he's like playing with a rock. Right. And he's counting his bet, like knowing that Lady Proxima isn't going to like the sunlight. If I got one shot to get out of here and run.
Yeah.
This is it here. So he's like, whoosh, and they go for it. Like that was a really cool. Like, there's a lot of really cool scenes. I think even some deleted scenes from Solo were even pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But it was almost between this and then I thought when they're escaping the mall.
Oh,
Because I love, my favorite is I'm gonna have to use that soundbite when they're doing this and it just it finally hits the hyperspace and you hear Lando go, oh shit, and you're
yeah.
love that soundbite. But I thought this was interesting too. If I have to think like saddest scene, it wasn't him and Qira. I thought this was sad because this is that I felt that Han Solo hadn't been really corrupted to really take a life. He's probably been able to escape by his wits until this point, but he learned how to shoot first because he knew that if he didn't, Beckett was going to get the drop.
Oh yeah.
And so it was and kind of Beckett kind of alluded to that, you know, sizing up your enemies earlier and watching them and learning. And he did that, and he shows that by the point in the scene. So you saw that character mature in his arc for the story, but I thought it was like kind of that, like, you know, this is where Han Solo is that scoundrel because we don't really see much of that earlier. You know, you have the Greedo thing, but this I think kind of adds more context to it. Like, this is that first time. This is the guy that gave him his pistol, right? He took that rifle, modified it down to that, and handed it to him. So there's a lot of cool points to this. So if I had to pick a sad moment, this would have been it. But for sure, I'm going to have to go with Lady Proxima and playing that it's a thermal detonator. That's a rock. No, it's not.
That's a good choice. And he made a little fake noise like he was turning it on and off.
Mouth.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. It was just a great scene. So I'll go with this for Solo. What do you have?
So for me, you know, I had to do this, man. Just the hologram with Maul.
I knew it.
Him calling the saber over, and then when he stands up from his chair, the robot legs, like, and I love how they did Ray Park as the actor, but Sam Witwer was the voice for it.
That was a cool idea.
Beautiful combination.
Loved it. So, and you know what's funny is Whitmore got to really add a lot into this. Not with his lines, how he's delivering his lines, but the lightsaber became a discussion. What, because he knew that there is different ones through Rebels and Clone Wars. And,
exactly.
You know, so he brought that up. What one is he using? And that became a discussion. But I knew you'd choose this one.
Yeah. It's that hands down. Like this is what got me into Clone Wars, because at this point I never saw Clone Wars. I was late to the game, and I was like, wait a minute, he's dead. Right away, I did the research and I binged Clone Wars. So, like, this scene was just epic. And like, if we ever got a Solo 2, it would be him and Qira continuing the story, which we got robbed of that, man.
You know what? Let Ron Howard's daughter do it.
Just let Bryce Dallas. Yeah, she's freaking awesome. She's
awesome. Do it. She's a good director and she stands on her own. Give her a project. Like,
they need to.
Give her that project. Let her take the time to develop a good story. Let her run with it. You already know, let's face it, if they pulled it, they know that there's an interest. They know there's an interest in it. So why not turn it into, and if you don't want to do a big blockbuster, use the volume and do a mini series, do a limited series. And based on that, if it hits well, you get enough viewers and the story, you know, it pops off with the audience, then let's get more of it. You know, I'm surprised they don't do that more with this medium. You know, I think that there's so many storylines. Like Marvel is just, they're
killing it
every direction. And you know what? If something flops, like I wasn't a big fan of the She-Hulk one.
Oh
yeah,
no,
it was too campy and corny. And I love that actress from Orphan. She was, if you haven't seen her in Orphan Black, dude, you have to watch that series. She plays so many different versions of clones of herself. It's ridiculous. And they're each so uniquely different. Like everything about them, accent, the way they act, or what they do, what kind of person they are, everything. And so to see her go to that, and I was like, man, I know what this actress can do. So I was a little underwhelmed with that. So, but Star Wars, really, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Let's more, you know, see some more action.
Exactly. So what you got for Empire?
All right, Empire. Empire should be an easy one. this scene. There's so many cool scenes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got introduced to Yoda. You got Hoth, right?
Hoth, yep.
So you went from a lot of desert to stone cold, snow cold,
Yep.
walkers.
To the swamp.
So much was coming at us. Like the Imperial March theme really came out in this one. So
Yeah.
this scene to me, by far, again, like I said earlier, why this movie was my favorite. This changed the movie. It became more than a movie to me. It like I understood that there was a space opera or something very Shakespearean going on.
Yeah.
When this happened, because I was like, whoa, this is like this is a tragedy. Like the good guys didn't win, and wow, what a difficult thing to find out the guy that you got to fight that you need to kill, who's the baddest baddie you're ever going to deal with. That's your dad. Like mind blowing, right? And so
Yeah.
there's so many elements going on, I think, in Empire. Growing up and watching them, as everyone does with any of these trilogies and in the saga, you're captured as a kid and you watch it all the way through. And as you're maturing, so does the content and storylines. So I thought that was really well done in all these. And this one, this was the game changer. I think it made history in the biggest, reveal or whatnot.
Oh,
But
of
it was
course, yeah.
way more than that. I think it just changed the tone of the story, because this I thought was really neat, because earlier you got some foreshadowing, and that's immediately when I knew when they did this scene.
Oh, yeah.
So when they did that, I knew when they did that scene, I said, oh, once they do, I knew something was up, right? There's something a little more to it, but it really got your mind thinking. So I thought this movie was so unique and different from the others. That's why I had to go this route for sure. Definitely my Vader.
So basically the same thing. Yeah, that's the same scene that I picked. Like, that's the most iconic scene from there. It's one of the most iconic scenes in Star Wars, period. The Luke, I am your father, and then him like, no, like it's just, oh, I can hear him screaming now.
Yeah.
And then
and your hero's ready to just throw himself off into the abyss. You're like, what?
Yeah. So
it was like, what's going on? He lost the arm. Like he can't even handle a lightsaber anymore. Like, is he ambidextrous? I don't know.
Yeah.
Then at the end, you see them working on the hand. You're like, oh, okay.
Yep, the little robot hand. Yeah,
he's okay. He's gonna be all right. But yeah, you're like, wow, that's the only good thing that happened. But he got his hand back. But like everything was a sour note, man. It was a great film. Great.
Yeah, film. That's the scene though that came to me first. Was just that it's just so iconic, man.
100%.
Yeah, the next one has a lot of stuff. So I'm interested to see what you got for Return of the Jedi. That's a tough one.
That is tough. That was tough. So I went with this scene.
Nice.
Again, you're ending the space opera, right? You're ending this episodic thing, and the build up to that, and they're going back and forth, and oh, sister, if you won't join, maybe she will. Like, and it forces him to come, dude, you're gonna have to go at him, and that was an epic. And even the Emperor just sitting there kind of playfully, releasing the hounds, if you will, because he sets the trap for everything, and everything's going to as I've foreseen. And all his lines are perfect in this. I always loved, and he goes, "You're mistaken about a great many things." I always loved that line for it. Was so perfect. This scene by far killed it. If I had to pick what I was thinking, the scene that just really pulled on heartstrings, I honestly thought this was there because I want to look upon you with my own eyes, and tell you were right. I thought that was kind of a nice piece, but you wouldn't have gotten that if you didn't have this. You had to have this big episodic scene, father versus son, the master and the apprentice, and trying to seduce him. And then when it doesn't happen, and Vader really redeeming himself to save his son, it was so well done. I loved it.
No, that's a great choice. That usually it's going to be between this scene, but for me, I went the opposite route. So I got in the beginning in Jabba's palace
Ooh.
when Luke shows up, because like it's just so iconic. Everything that happens in the sequence, you got Luke, you got Jabba, Salacious, you got the Gamorrean guards, you got Leia, Han's over there frozen in carbonite, you got
You
Lando
got a
in the
lot of
cut.
things going on.
So like when I think of this, I think of all that, and then you got the Rancor underneath lurking that he's gonna go down there and fight and kill. So just that whole Jabba's palace scene, I just love it so much, man.
Nice. That's a
Yeah,
great pick. Great pick. Yeah, because now he's coming in and he's Jedi Master, right? And he's
yeah,
got this like he's
he's
poised. He's
smooth,
got this confidence.
swagger.
It's like
Yeah,
he's almost like floating when he walks in there. He's just like
yeah,
boop, boop, move move your little daggers out of my face.
yeah,
He's just awesome. Yeah,
yeah. So I had to
cool
go with
scene.
that one.
I don't blame you.
So next, what do we got? Oh, next, The Force Awakens, which there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but I'm gonna be interested to see what you got.
Hmm. All right. I'm gonna go with Force Awakens. Love that. Love
Oh,
this
that fight.
with
Yeah,
them fighting in the snow. Just
yeah.
that was, I mean, that kind of to me was the culmination of the whole moment of the movie. You had to have
Mm-hmm.
that build up. Loved it. And what's interesting to me, one of the things that I thought, and if you rewatch it, tell me if you don't notice it, because I know you're a Sith master there,
Uh-huh.
Tony. So don't you think you see her fighting more like Palpatine from Revenge of the Sith, where she kind of dives and he's got that very
Oh,
forward poking? If you watch her fighting, you will see that kind of forward stabbing motion a couple times in her fighting him. And that to me, I don't know if that was done on purpose because they were like not sure what direction to go with. So they threw different forms in there just in case they covered their bases, if they fleshed out earlier who she was going
uh-huh.
to be related to. I that to me was the tip off that I thought she was Palpatine, and I always thought, to be somehow related to be a Palpatine, and then Luke's going to have to, now mentor his enemy's own blood, and the blood of his own enemy. I thought that would have been a really cool. It is canon, right? She's a Palpatine. I don't
Yeah.
quite like the story of how she,
Yeah.
very corny and felt I don't know. I don't know how Star Wars storyboard line, green light that one because it was weak. That was really weak. And I think that was an important piece. Even as the person acting, don't you
Mm-hmm.
I would think that you need to know your
Yeah.
character. Like put it this way. Adam Driver knew exactly who his character was,
Yeah. The son
the
of Solo.
torment his character is going through because he got the full story about how his character is going to end up when he was doing this. They already kind of had a rough idea where he's going to end up, so he knew. Could you imagine being Daisy Ridley trying to figure out how do I portray this? Because you can portray a scene so many different ways, and you're trying to do a scene where you're. Am I drawing energy from Obi-Wan, Palpatine? I have no idea where I'm getting it from. I'm getting it from somewhere. Could someone just randomly have this in them? And I kind of thought that would have been a better way to go than even connect her to anyone. If it wasn't Palpatine, in my opinion, it should have been a nobody. She just had it. Like she was maybe always had it when she was a youngling and it just was never realized, right? And just had it. That would have been more believable than I don't know what they came up with. But to me,
Yeah, I don't
the scene
think
is
they
super.
did that on purpose. Like her doing that, because they didn't come up with the Palpatine thing until way later. So there's no way that they were that smart to plan it that early. Definitely not. I think it's just a coincidence. But
Just
I
a
could kind of
coincidence.
see how it kind of looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this scene, I also like for me, it's the way it was filmed, the iconic imagery. I really like the light in the dark with you've got a nighttime snowy
Yeah.
forest with the lightsabers glowing, the red and the blue contrast against it. It's a great backdrop for a great fight. It's
No, for
really
sure. All right. So for this, I got this right here. When we first I
Ooh.
remember when I first saw Snoke, I was like, "Holy crap! Who
Who's
is
this
this
dude?
guy? This is the new Palpatine. Like, he looks so badass. he has to be powerful. Look how big he looks there.
Yes,
So this right here, when I
100%.
first saw Snoke, I was like, yo, I wanted to know more and his backstory immediately. So this was the scene for me for sure.
No, I get you. If I had the saddest scene from Force Awakens, it was Kylo impaling his dad.
Oh yeah, that was. Oh
That was,
yeah.
you know what though? I'll say this: I love the way Harrison Ford had his character go out. To go Han Solo go out like that, it was a good death, right?
Yeah,
I
for
always
his
felt like
son.
when you watch The Sopranos, the way they showed the love of a character is they had a good death. Like they made it
Yeah,
really good. When they went out, they weren't just like head squashed by a car.
yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool how they did that.
So who do you got for what scene do you have for the Last Jedi?
Again, tough one. Tough one.
Yeah, it was.
Tough.
Yeah, I know the
So
feeling.
I was thinking this, right? Because to me, that I'm torn on that. And the reason I won't go with this scene, and I'll tell you why.
Uh-huh.
The reason I don't go with this scene is because I feel that they should have. Dude, this is Star Wars. This is Luke Skywalker. You keep him until the end.
Yep.
He should have gone in the last episode, not
Yep.
this one. And then when Carrie Fisher unexpectedly dies, and
I
now you're
know that
really
was.
screwed the pooch because you killed off, Mark Hamill's character, Luke. What were you thinking? Like, even box office is selling tickets and marketing and action figures. And what were you thinking? Like, come
Yep.
on. Like, so that's why I didn't choose this, because my heart kind of like, it was beautifully shot. Loved how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't happy they did it, but that said, I think my favorite scenes, because I love the build up to this, I loved Snoke really kind of intimidating Rey and all that to
Uh-huh.
get the big build up of this.
Oh, the fight with the Praetorian guards or whatever
I
they're called.
thought I thought that whole scene where he's tormenting Rey, leading into, he's gonna pick up that light and strike his enemy, and he kills Snoke, and then it leads right
Yeah.
into that. This was off the chain. I thought. I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
was pretty
"Oh,
crazy.
this is a
Yeah.
great scene." Um, and I thought it was one of the again. They did it. I thought they did the scene so well that they can add comedic humor when she throws a lightsaber and he just grabs it and turns it on, and it just and turns it off, and it just
Yeah.
puts the hole through the
Yeah.
guard's eye and head. I thought that was awesome. So I thought this scene was very well done. It was a great lightsaber fight, and the tension and build to it made for a great action scene. And then to have the way they were pulling on the lightsaber at the end of it, all that waking up from it all, crazy. This is my favorite scene from that.
Gotcha.
What do you got?
Yeah, the buildup was good for sure. But for this, it was kind of hard finding something because this wasn't my favorite movie out of all the films. So,
No.
but I remember when this scene happened, I was happy because I loved the fact we got to see my boy Yoda back again. Even though it was short lived, it was just so funny, and he was just such a smart ass. Page turners, they were not.
Yeah,
And then he burns the tree.
Right?
Yeah, so it was just cool, and it looks like they kind of use like the puppet. It's not CGI like prequels.
No, they had Frank Oz back on set for this, dude.
So it was nice that like aesthetically it was Yoda from like
very pleasing.
Yeah. So
I agree. The motion seemed it's odd, right? Because it's someone with their hand and they can do so much now animatronics, but like it was just so well done. It was great. And I was glad. I think it's great to have like Frank Oz, like a Jim Henson classic, he's a big dog, and you have him come back to do this character again. Love that. I did not like what they were doing because you really didn't know that in Force Awakens, but when you get to this movie, what they did to Luke, a childhood hero for many, just a great legacy character for many. I was like, I might not be the sharpest knife in the box, but I'll tell you this: I wouldn't kill off the biggest franchise hero when there's a third movie. You're planning.
Yeah.
You don't kill him off there. I'm sorry. There's no one else bigger that's going to sell asses in the seats than Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry.
In my mind, Like how I pictured Luke and how I wanted Luke to be in this movie was what we got in Mando season 2, the finale. That's how I
Yes.
pictured Luke. Badass, all black, black leather glove, green saber, just smacking everybody up. That's what I was like mentally expecting in this. Because the last we saw him was Return of the Jedi. So we expected him just to be older,
Correct.
yeah, but like
Even when he
Luke
accepts the
Skywalker.
lightsaber and he just tosses it over the shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hey, we're not
yeah.
Chris, opening up Funko Pops, right? That's what he did with Funko, right? It's not Chris opening Funko Pops. That's your
Oh,
lightsaber, the one that
yeah,
Obi-Wan gave you, your
yeah.
dad's. Like, there's history, like that was so unbelievable of the character. So when I heard conflicting interviews with Mark Hamill,
He didn't
speaking
even
about
like
the
it.
direction, I was kind of leery, but then when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I could 100% agree with what he was really biting his tongue a lot on it, because that's not like the character. Like it's nothing like we've read in any legends or any of that expanded universe stuff. It was
Mhm.
just so unlike the like. I was like, did anybody know who Luke Skywalker? Did you guys watch the first stuff? And if you're not fans, if you talk to anyone that produces and works it, you guys, why would you do that? Like, I don't know. That to me, Last Jedi was a real thorn in my side, in the story, because I felt they wasted so much time in the next one correcting crap from this one
Yep, yep.
that it shouldn't have been done. You should have just said, you know what, screw it, we got to chalk this up, we got to move on, but we got to get to that next, let's get to the next segment, right? Just like we're gonna do now, we're gonna go to the next movie.
Exactly. So what you got for the Rise of Skywalker?
All right, what do I got? All right, uh no, I went with this first.
Oh, when he pulled out the blue saber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know why? Again, I felt I would love to say the Luke that we had when he comes and the Force Ghost and all. That was great, but you know what? Yeah, it shouldn't have happened, and you shouldn't have had him correct her throwing the lightsaber because of what happened that your character did in the one before. That was garbage. But that aside, I thought the ability of these two be able to kind of share and fight, because I
Yeah.
almost went with the fight scene between those two, where she's on the planet and then they hit the beans and
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah. That was
hit
kind
the
of
floor,
cool.
and she's
Yeah.
on his ship in his room,
Yep.
and with the Vader helmet. Loved all that, but I went with this because that led up to this, which was the only scene that we really got to see the Knights of Ren do crap.
Yeah, they wasted them. They look
Yeah,
so
like, dude,
cool and badass, and
I'm
they
sporting the Knights of Ren and Kylo's shirt, man. Like there's so much hype and marketing on these dudes. Like,
they
I was
did
expecting
nothing.
to see something kick ass. Like, honest to God, first Disney Plus show should have been the fucking Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
Should have
man.
been the Knights of Ren. Like
Yeah.
how we didn't get that. I was really surprised, Tony. I thought that should have been it. Had the Knights of Ren, you tell more backstory, you would have gotten more of the how Ben Solo got in cahoots with them. Like, please, Disney, give us that. I mean,
Yeah.
even I'd take that over the acolyte that we're getting.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I went with this because, again, it's the only scene where you get Ben Solo pulling that lightsaber out and really kind of connecting with Rey. He's Ben Solo now, right? He's not Kylo Ren. He's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
throwing that back, and he's gonna make this is his time to kind of make amends, right? He's got to go. He's got to save Rey. He's gonna have to fight the big baddie. He's gonna have to take down his little brothers in arms here that he was rubbing elbows with just a few episodes ago. So I thought this was kind of it. Like Rey fighting the Emperor, a little disappointed in that.
Yeah. So for this one, I just put this one. So when Palps finally got all like the power and he was like kind of like, reformed, and then
Regenerated, yeah.
regenerated with the Sith eyes. I thought that was cool. Even though it made no sense at all, the whole movie about him coming back and him being there, I still liked him there. And I'm pretty sure we got to do it in there when he was talking to Rey, like for her to strike him down. He said, do it, I think at least once, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think you're right.
I just thought he looked cool with the red robes. And like, I remember the Funko that came out like this looked pretty dope too.
Yeah,
But
I agree. He did.
yeah,
This was awesome. And you know what's interesting? I thought when they filmed this, Tony, that the way they filmed Palpatine reminded me very horror film, right? Like you
yeah,
didn't get to see a lot, but when you did, it was like lightning strike, right? When you're
yeah,
introducing them and they're creeping around, the place, and you see these other kind of like, you know, uh, nimble little worker bees, doing the cloning stuff, behind the scene. The introduction and that very Frankensteinish, like it
yeah,
really kind of gave me that horror film vibe. So I liked I agree. This would have been another good one to have picked. I like this.
yeah, for sure. So next, what do we have next? Oh, Clone Wars. So what
All right.
is your scene from Clone Wars? Which
All right.
there's
So
a lot. That's 7 seasons
that's a
worth.
tough one.
Yeah.
I all right. Saddest scene, 100%.
Oh, at the end, that was so deep. Yeah,
100%. And
so deep.
love that. But my favorite scene,
Oh, the hallway scene.
Darth
Maul's
Maul
hallway
going through the
scene.
hallway, because it calls back to the Vader Rogue One scene.
Yep.
There's a lot of callback to that. But you see Maul just kicking butt, like
With nothing.
he's going through there. When he pulls that clone trooper through and he severs the arm off him and then takes the comm off it, I was like,
Yeah.
that is dope. That was awesome. So it was, dude, it was Maul. Like, and even her little lines before, like, I'm not doing this to help you. You're my distraction.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, she's like, I'm not on your side. I'm not, hoping you win or anything. Like, you're my distraction. So I thought that was really cool. Really, really cool. Especially because of what built up between those two prior to all this, right? So this was legendary in Clone Wars.
So that's so funny. So out of 7 seasons, the scene you pick is almost like within an episode or two of the scene that I picked. So the Maul and Ahsoka fight was just so epic, and like the another part, and I don't know if you know, but Ray Park did. He was in a mocap suit. So when they're fighting, that's actually Ray Park's body
I did know
movement.
that.
Yeah. So that, like, the minute I saw that, I'm like, yo, that's Ray Park's move. I know it. And then I saw the behind the scenes and they did it. But just that fight was so epic. And she almost turned to help him kill the Emperor. She was
if
this
it had
close.
not been Anakin involved, guaranteed life would have been different in Star Wars.
She was ready to join him to fight Palps, which would have been mind blowing.
Right?
So,
like, can we get a what if? Like, do a what if and do fan theory things like that would be crazy.
It would be epic. So epic. So that's what I had for Clone Wars.
That's
next
a great scene.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Because one of the things she has like no lightsaber at one point, right? Or one.
Yeah.
I think she loses them both at that point.
Yeah.
And she basically does that move where she goes after lightsaber, depowers it, and like stuns him.
Yeah.
Does it to him, does it to the was it the seventh sister? And then she does it to the first brother.
Yep.
So that's a signature cool move of Ahsoka's. I like.
So what do you got for Rebels?
Oh,
and I think I see it there. That scene is so sad.
All right. Saddest scene.
Yeah, man.
Kanan. Again, I don't think there's another animated Star Wars character that we lose that you felt more like, oh, because you needed to have a light episode. I think they literally had a cutaway lighter episode after this, but the one that came back after that was very kind of slow and somber, but a good story and building into a 2 or 3 story arc after it. But this is really probably one of the sadder, but okay, for Rebels, love that. Love the end. But I gotta go with this.
Nice.
Gotta go with the Soak of the White. I just thought not knowing where Ezra is was not what I wanted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it piques so much more interest. I love the fact I'm glad they did it, right? Because now it opens up a story later. So that whole kind of epilogue at the end where she's talking about like going out and finding him and Ahsoka pulling up. Like you could see Sabine matured from where we saw her at the very end of the finale there. to
Yeah.
that little scene. She's matured and aged. Obviously, look, Ahsoka, right? Older, wiser. So what's going on there? Like, I want to see that. And will we get a tie back to this? Hopefully in Ahsoka, because I've seen a live action shot of this.
Yeah, that is in
So
Ahsoka. Like we
yeah.
saw it in Anaheim. So
So will they kind of will they reshoot this scene and go right into it? I don't know. Is that a flashback? I don't know. But like Rebels, I think again, this is what I was talking about. When you look at the color palette, the orange, yellow, the purples, the green, it had such a unique color palette. Very, very cool. And that image really shows that. But I just think that the story had such a great arc for the character, and they did even in the intro of that, they did away with kind of something coming over top of Ezra at
yeah.
the ship as he's standing out there looking over the desert or whatever of his planet. Lothal, you see like a ship, and they kind of brought that right back again to that scene that hooked me as a kid. So again, I'm seeing them like, oh man, these guys they
Yeah.
got something. There's something right off the bat. I'm like, there's something to the show right off the bat. Like, there's some people that have a lot of love because they're to probably the non, fanboy, sweaty, Star Wars fan. They probably wouldn't have picked up on it. But anyone that is a huge fan, when they saw that kind of scene again, it's iconic to that first scene in Star Wars. They knew where it was coming from. So I loved
No,
Rebels,
for
man.
sure.
Loved it.
Yeah. So for me, I got the boy
Oh
Maul
man,
in
Maul.
the desert on Tatooine hunting for Kenobi,
Kenobi.
and just that scream and the little monologue he had right before. Oh, it's just so classic, man.
Yeah.
So classic, man. And then he runs into Obi-Wan in the desert with Ezra and like that poetic final duel. It's
That
just
is a
so beautiful,
excellent
man.
scene. Is he the chosen one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was
man.
really cool.
Yeah.
And you know what was really neat about that? That scene was all but a couple seconds, right? And he
So
tries the
short.
same move. He tries the same move he tried on
Yep.
Qui-Gon.
Yep.
Gets taken down. But I think I was disappointed because again, I wanted, I wanted more. But thinking of when you think of like a Kurosawa, a samurai film or something of that nature, like it was only a couple moves and they got you. It wasn't, they didn't have very long drawn out sword fights necessarily.
Yeah.
So the explanation from Filoni about these guys being masters of that at this point, right? They're masters of it. They've
Mm-hmm.
fought each other how many times that they've gone against each other. They know each other, like they know their moves. And I know when I played lacrosse, there was a guy that growing up in the Philadelphia area I played against, and I met him again in Arizona. And I didn't know it at the time, but he recognized me and we were chatting. And then he said, "Oh, I'm playing for this other team." And I said, "Oh." So we get out there, and as we're playing, I realized, dude, you were number 9 at Academy of New Church, weren't you? He's like, "Yeah." I was like, he's like, "You were number 3 at White." And yep. He goes, "Yeah." He's like, "I knew that was you." And so
Mm-hmm.
when you know someone else's moves, it kind of elevates that fight. So one
Yeah.
of the things that I always liked about being a competitive athlete in my college years was having that kind of competition. So when I saw that fight, Tony, at the end, I respected the fact that it was very short and brief. They didn't need much. They just needed the chance. So great scene. Nailed it.
Yeah.
That
No,
was a
for
good one.
sure. Yeah. So what do you got for Bad Batch?
All right. Sad. And the Camino. But
Mm,
I went with the Order 66 scene so far.
yeah.
I did not watch today's double episode, so I'll be watching that after this, that's for sure. But I think the Order 66 and kind of seeing Kanan as a young Padawan,
Mm-hmm.
great scene. That really, I mean,
Yeah.
it tied it in. It was a great intro. And right off the bat, you kind of have a little bit more behind the Bad Batch, like um the whole idea that they're all different, but yet they might actually be different because they didn't respond to the order in the first place. Kind of neat, a way to start it off. Very subtle, but maybe not so subtle, right? They
Yeah.
didn't follow the order, but you had Crosshair the whole time, like, good soldiers follow orders, ready to take down the kid at any time.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a great intro to a new series. It was a cool scene. Again, I love seeing a lot of those Order 66 scenes that you kind of see it from different points of view and different perspectives. And I like. How about you? What do you got?
Same thing. Order 66. So just the whole Order 66 sequence was amazing. And then seeing Kanan's, master fall and just like him being scared of the clones in the woods. Like, it's just, like you said, just seeing it from different angles and like different perspectives. Like, it's crazy. It's just like a horror movie, but just different angles.
Yeah. And what's cool, to me, this was different than the way it happened in the comic that I have.
Yeah. They retconned it.
So I like this. I really one, his master, she put up a damn good fight for quite a bit there. She was taking a small little battalion down, holding her own against them. But it was crazy because she was just talking to him, and then when the Bad Batch is talking, she's like, she gives the orders. But like, dude, one call with Order 66 and her orders are out the door. Let's kill her. Like, I was like, whoo. I mean, really neat how you see that switch in a different way than we've seen it before. Even though it was like you really saw the interaction like a second before, and then it was turn on a dime. So I really liked it. Well done.
No, for sure. So what do you got for Tales of the Jedi, which was a freaking
there's so much in Tales of the Jedi. I wanted to go with an Ahsoka. I really loved the Dooku story a lot. Like, that was so well done. All right. So I loved the whole, Yaddle and him. I loved him at the tree. Love that. But I'm gonna say my favorite Tales of the Jedi.
Oh, so mean.
The music, like the Kodo Japanese drums going.
Yep.
It really has that like samurai. Dude, she is a samurai, not just a Jedi. She is just one badass chick. And so I think like her, she doesn't have any weapon in her hand.
I know, it's so
taking
crazy.
This dude with a double blade rotating Inquisitor lightsaber. Are you kidding me? Like, I got nothing but my skill, and I'm taking it to you, dude. She walked up like it was places burning down around her because of this guy. She walks up as like, hold my beer, I'll be right back.
Exactly.
Blade does that trick again that she's done in Rebels and in Clone Wars, where she deactivates the lightsaber, just reignites it, and takes his head off. Like, awesome.
That scene was epic.
I had to go with this one. And there were so many good vignettes, great scenes. This one, if I had to go best scene, because the scene was stellar. That's why I had to go with this one, Tony. Had to.
So I almost was gonna go with that one, but I went with this, the Yaddle and Dooku fight, just because Emperor standing there watching. The music was very Revenge of the Sith like. It just was so deep, and it explains what happened to Yaddle between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, because all of a sudden she's gone.
Yeah,
so
it was a good kind of storyline. Yep.
So it was just so deep, man. And that's when I feel like he truly like turned, because like he almost kind of didn't want to do it, but he had to, especially with Palpatine there.
He's like, you've heard everything, right? Because if she just heard the last part, he might have been like, maybe I won't really fight her. I mean, her. But no, he realized he's gotta do her in. But dude, I loved when he went up to her, he's like, then I'll give you peace. And
savage. Oh my
God. Like, because we almost had a shred of hope, because she's like, she opens the door.
Yeah,
like, I thought she's badass. She's badass.
I thought she was gonna get away. Yeah.
No, and then and then when it closes and she kind of limps back down, and I'm like, yeah, it's over for you. It's game over for you, hon. I knew she was dead meat at that point, and it was very well done. I think the way they presented it with Dooku coming up to her and doing that, I thought that was a great scene.
No, there's for sure.
So many. It's really crazy when we hit very similar scenes, and then we're so close, and we like a lot of the same.
Yeah,
but so many pieces. So it's really cool when you pick out something I didn't even think of. It's like,
yeah. So did you grab something for Visions?
No, I did not. I think
What?
I forgot.
No
Vision.
worries. So I'll share mine, and
I'll tell you. I know what it is. Ronin. The Ronin.
is it this?
Yep.
So, yep, for me, that one was just so impactful. And then the minute he takes it out, and she's like, "Your saber's red." Like,
Yeah.
oh,
You got a red blade.
yeah, you got yeah. So just his whole story with his little samurai R2, it was
Loved
just
it.
so cool. And I want
All the
so
little
much
callbacks.
more.
You got probe droid pieces. You got
Yeah,
Death Star droid. You've got Tusken.
yeah,
He gets blown away right after his little cheer. Like, dude, it was so well done. So well done. Like, and
yes.
it reminded me, like, I was like, if I was those people that produced the samurai versions of the stormtroopers and Vader,
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't that company didn't try to be like, we're doing the Ronin line exclusively for this
Yeah.
studio, because that was bad. Because I know they did. There is a vinyl figure, and they're really nicely done vinyl figures for the twins, the
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I see
Hari
them.
and the other one.
Yep.
Like not pop. I have the pop ones, but they actually made vinyl figures that are. I mean, it looks like the animation is in your hand. It's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, I seen them. They're super
Yeah.
dope.
I'm surprised that other company didn't get an exclusive rights to do this as a collectible, because this story and
Yeah.
this scene was awesome.
But no,
Awesome.
it was Ronin for sure. So what do you got for Mandalorian, which there's so many scenes to choose from?
Oh, yeah. All right. Loved our intro. Loved it. Very, that scene, it just, very Renaissance painting like, so many
Yeah.
callback, great scene, but by far, hands down, best scene.
Oh, yeah. Freaking Luke Skywalker. The real Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the Luke every fan expected to see in The Last Jedi.
100%.
Every fan.
100%.
I think even Luke, I know what, and I call him Luke, Mark Hamill. I call him, right? Because he is Luke. He's Luke. He's Luke.
Yeah.
Damn it. Mark's Luke. And I think even Mark Hamill was very excited to reprise the role in the way he did, to give it this caliber. Because I think in Heart of Hearts, he knew what the character was. He knew what the fans wanted. And this was just like, this made up for come on, who didn't? There wasn't a huge fan of Luke that probably didn't get brought to my wife was like, "Are you getting emotional?" I said, "Damn!" When he pulled out I saw the glove and the green blade. I was like, "It's him." The X-wing wasn't just like, "Is it him?" I'm like, when that came, I was like, "Dude, that's him. That's him."
Yep.
And then they had the Revenge of the Sith little callback with the behind
the back, like his
and you see
like his father.
You see the perspective through like a monitor. Like that was so cool. So cool. Yeah. Him open up. Like I shot this. One of the images I wanted to shoot most was this when I got the Funko Pop from Entertainment Earth. Couldn't wait to get it to recreate this scene.
So it's so funny you brought this up, because literally exact same thing. Like I remember I jumped up off the couch and I was standing a foot away from the TV screen, just staring like, is it him? Is it him? Is it him? Is it him? And like the tears came, because that combined with Mando taking the mask off and then R2 showing up, like, oh, R2, and then Grogu leaving with him.
I wasn't expecting that.
So emotional. And then that end scene when they get in the elevator and it's Luke holding Grogu and R2. Like, who would imagine we would ever see that? Like, it's just beautiful. Like, thank you, Jon Favreau.
Even the episode when they were on was the planet where he's on the Seeing Stone.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was hoping that he was reaching out and Luke. That was a prayer to actually see that character come back. I was like, what?
Yeah, man.
And you know what? This to me, it being Luke doing this, it has a very cool callback to, again, the Rogue One Vader scene.
And the hallway scene, Luke's hallway scene.
This reminded me a lot of that. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, super epic. So the next one is Book of Boba Fett. What do you have from that?
Oh, it's a tough one. Tough one. So as I joke, right? The best episodes of Book of Boba Fett were the ones with the Mandalorian.
Which is wild because they were by like a lot,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
crazy.
The whole you're no longer a Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Awesome, right? But you know, unless you watch Book of Boba, you wouldn't know that. Introduction to live action. This guy,
that was amazing.
you know, but I'm gonna have to say like this is something I wanted to see the whole time. This is my favorite.
Oh, Boba on the Rancor, that was so badass.
I
Yeah,
wanted this so bad. Like I want this as a Funko Pop. I have the Grogu and Rancor, but this is what I really want.
and no toy company has taken advantage of this. Like, there's no Hasbro, there's no Hot Toys. Like, give us freaking Boba on a Rancor. I don't care how big it is, we'll buy it.
I'll be honest. I think that after the HasLab that kind of flopped with the Rancor, I think that's probably why we didn't get it.
That was before this though, and then
It
the price of the Rancor was pricey, and they didn't include enough free stuff with it. Like, they messed up bad. They should have included more stuff.
I think they screwed up with the characters they paired with it.
They screwed up bad, and then like the stuff that we would want was like too high of a goal. Like, Luke should have been included. The Gamorrean Guard should have been included. Not like the first level was like bones and a cardboard backdrop. Like, no, we want the figures. Like,
yeah, did you do the Razor Crest? Because I did. I
got into Hasbro a couple months after that, so I just missed it.
I did the Razor Crest only because I needed to have that.
That thing is beautiful, man.
You know what it was? It was that when you get, I was saying, you know, why all your generation of kids growing up that grew up with Star Wars, that grew up with the prequel trilogy,
Yeah,
they're all coming into, you know, they're getting established jobs, they're settling down, they've got expendable income, so there's more coming to those collectors and that generation now.
Yeah,
right. When I was younger, you know, we couldn't afford the Millennium Falcon. I think I had, you know, a friend that had that, but you know, most of us had figures, and I had quite a bit, you know, but there are other kids that had like everything, but that was the one thing that was unattainable for me. And as I grew older, I was like, you know, one day I'm going to get that. You know, when they had Power of the Voice, one day I'm going to get, and I just never did. But when they released the Razor Crest, I saw how big and how epic it's going to be. I'm like, you know what? You're old enough. You got the money. It was and I've got better insurance, right? That line from Fried Green Tomatoes. But I was like, damn it, I'm getting it. So I think I was on board within hours, first day. Bam, getting it. Definitely.
Nice.
I like it. Because I didn't do the sail barge. So I was like, nah.
Yeah. Gotcha. So my scene for Book of Boba is a scene that isn't talked about enough. And it's Ahsoka and Luke, which is like, it blew my mind. One, I didn't expect either one in the Book of Boba Fett. No. But two, I didn't expect them to know each other. And then when she dropped the line that said, "You're so much like your father," holy shit. Like, what?
Yeah.
That hit so hard, especially if you've seen all the Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, you know, her bond with his father. Like,
yeah, that she became so much like him. So she was a lot like him.
It's just crazy. So this scene, I was just like, oh my god, it just was just so deep.
Yeah, so deep. You know what? I agree, and you're right on the money for having picked this, because it is probably very well overlooked. The effects alone can't be.
Oh yeah, ridiculous.
Bringing him back in the glory of Luke, young Luke, you know, Jedi Master like that, but awesome. And it's kind of crazy because, like you said, calling back to Anakin and knowing him, and the comment, you know, we're you know, old family friends, whatever she says to Mando earlier. Like, it's really kind of cool to see that, because she not only was trained under his father, but like, if it wasn't for her father or his father, it wasn't for Anakin, she would have never survived.
Yup, 100%. Like, yeah,
that Tales of the Jedi, that episode was so awesome, and it really, because how many people out there like, who's the Ahsoka character? Why isn't she in? Why didn't you see her in these movies? You know, why didn't you see her in the originals? She's so the way they've expanded it and have explanations to why, where, you know, and kind of given us snippets in the timeline has been really cool, really cool. Yeah. And I'm glad we've got like an awesome, epic legacy character like her going forward. Great character.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So what do you have for the Kenobi show?
I think you know what that is. It's this. It's this. All right.
Oh,
It's this. It's
so
this.
deep. So deep.
Because you have to have this to get to that, right? So you have
Yep, yep.
that lightsaber fight. That to me, it's all rolled in one. So I had both, but this is the image. This is the iconic image. I mean, I think one toy collector, whatnot. Everyone has been creating customs, of these to have one. I created my own custom Funko. This here alone, the whole dialogue about "I'm not your failure,"
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan, I'm sorry for all of it. God, it
Oh,
brought me
so
right back
deep.
to Revenge of the Sith. Like
Yep.
they're continuing that conversation. They are continuing that conversation years later, 10 years later. And
Yeah.
obviously he's so pissed that it's driven him to this, and he's like, you didn't kill, I killed Anakin, I did.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Woof, okay, that went dark real quick." Like, but I love the fact that when you have and the way they shot this, Tony, when they had the blue, and again, me being a photography nerd, this is why I
Yeah.
got to it. The way they play with the lighting, where you
Yeah.
see Anakin coming out in him and Vader when the blue light's on him, so well done. And it's kind of neat because that's him talking to Obi-Wan coming out as Anakin as
Yeah.
opposed to Vader
Vader.
taking over. Like you almost feel like the way they did it, like you can feel this person trapped inside what Luke eventually feels later in Return of the Jedi. I feel the conflict in you. Like, so I thought that was really well done, well executed. Best scene of it all. Yeah.
That's exactly what I had too. That final duel and that what you had up was just perfect. It's just perfect way to end it. And like it just
If
was
they just gave
so
me that
deep,
episode, I
man.
would have been happy. Called that Kenobi, and that's it. Pff,
Yeah.
done.
They should have made
Done.
it just a movie, like right to the point. Like it
It's
oh
great.
yeah. So yeah, you basically nailed everything with that, like for sure. But
Yeah, the only other scene I really even liked was when they first introduced him and
uh-huh.
how he was going down the street. And everyone's like kind of scared, but he's like ripping paper out the
Oh
windows,
yeah.
choking that lady to death. Like she's like screaming, "Don't do this." He's like snapping her neck, like no questions asked. Like he was like, "Whoop." And you
Yeah.
knew he was doing it to draw Kenobi out. You
Out. Yep.
felt him, you knew. So
Yeah.
that was well done. But all that leads to the culmination of this awesomeness right here. This is it,
100%.
100%. You didn't tune into Kenobi not to see this, right? This is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you have? I think the last one we have is Andor. What do you got for Andor?
Oh, that's a tough one. All right. So I pulled three quick. I'll do my favorite, but I'll show you the other runners up. So I loved Marva. Loved
Oh, the
Marva. Love.
speech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love to see the people and this hear about the planet and how these people are bonded and their ashes are turned into the bricks that build the
Yeah, that was
village.
cool.
Like it adds so much more to it all. And having spent time on Batu, I felt more connected to this story after having been the Galaxy's Edge. I really
Yeah.
did. I think having been there, having the castmates there, being in character, I had the luxury of going on the Halcyon and doing that experience. So that whole thing being immersed. When I saw this, I felt like I was having a flashback. Like I was there on that too.
Yeah.
I thought this is well done. This scene, you can't go without an honorable mention, right?
Yeah.
Loved it. Again, kind of surprised on the casting, but I love him anyway. So
Yeah.
Andy Serkis to be able to do that. And then my favorite scene, and dude, this is going to be a bold statement, Tony. This scene
Oh,
is
he's talking
Andor.
to that guy in the that
Yes,
random guy talking to him, right?
he's talking to his man on the inside of the
Yeah, yeah.
ISPs, his spy.
It was
So,
deep. It was deep. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I want to know more about Luthen. I
Yeah.
love Skarsgård, great actor, but the soliloquy is so Shakespearean, and that's why I say soliloquy.
Yeah.
It is very Hamlet-ish in the way it's delivered. But when his dialogue here of sacrifice, if you have not seen Andor, I don't care if you don't watch any of it. Find this episode. I can't remember what episode off the top of my head, but find this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to the scene, or just look it up on YouTube. I guarantee someone's got a clip of it out there. This scene is probably one of the best well acted Star Wars scenes, hands down. Hands down. Like, I don't think I've ever seen lines delivered so well in the Star Wars universe ever.
Yeah.
In this.
It was a
I
dope
know
speech
that's a
for
bold
sure.
statement, but it was awesome. Awesome.
Nice. So for me, for Andor, when I saw this part,
Oh,
I was just blown away because like it started in so close, and then it went to the first ring, and then the second ring, and then it zoomed out, and then it zoomed out, and then it zoomed out. I just thought that was
cool,
so
and it was
dope.
a cut scene. It was a cut.
Yeah.
It was
like
cut
post credit
scene.
scene almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That the other scene I was thinking about was when Luthen was in his ship escaping, and he did like the laser beams and did the spin. That blew me away. That blew me away too. His ship was crazy.
Why haven't we seen that? That's before New Hope. Why didn't we see that technology in any other stuff yet? Like, who is this guy? How's he got lightsabers coming off the side of his ship? That was crazy. Like, and even be able to throw the shrapnel at the ship to the Imperial little smaller Star Destroyer thing.
Yeah.
Score up their radar and track and what is it? The
tractor beam.
Yeah, tractor beam.
Yeah,
he basically shut it down, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, so
there's more to that character, and I can't wait to learn it. Like, I was hoping that staff he had was a lightsaber or something.
Me too, man.
Like I'm hoping he's like someone playing it cool, undercover, but like really being a public figure, being a art or collector, a dealer of antiquities. Interesting.
No, for sure. All right, so wrapping it up now, what do you have coming up next on your channel that we could have look forward to?
All right, so a few things I've got going on my channel is we've got a few new, I shoot about usually publish 2 pops a week where I do that. And I think we've got some upcoming ones. I think I mentioned this even last night on Andrew's stream, but I have Ray from Power of the Galaxy coming up.
Nice.
I think today released the Vader 556 retro series.
Yep.
Dropped today. Tomorrow I have scheduled out having the behind the scenes, so you get to see you get to look behind the curtain, see behind the magic, how the sausage is made, people. So you get to see that, and then some upcoming ones we've got going on. So look forward to seeing another Red Saber series coming out.
Yes.
Tony, you're going to want to tune into that one. And I'm excited coming up just after Valentine's Day. I think that same week I have my custom Darth Vader battle damage from the scene from Kenobi that we're just chatting about. I have that pop image coming out, and that's been a long time coming. I worked with my neighbor Peter to work on that one. I mean, guy cut his finger. He did a pretty good number on it. I mean, probably use it. But that was, so we put some blood and sweat equity into making that guy. So damn you, Funko, knowing how to get hurt or injured if you had made it in the first place. But no, I had fun doing it. It was a cool little side project, Tony. Again, I was just excited to capture an image in which I'm very excited to share with my community. And anyone that wants to come on down the Toy Photographer, where again, I do creative images of Star Wars Funko Pops on my channel, and we're going more behind the scenes and doing stuff like that. So on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And when I'm not doing that and not in the day job, I'm also with my friend Christopher from Seriously Star Wars. Yes. And we're doing our Star Wars Popcast. And on that, We do a weekly episode every Monday. A new episode drops, and we're talking about all things Star Wars Funko Pop. So we're talking about releases. We're covering Star Wars Podcast Day. We talk about our recent episode from last week was Grails. Like, what is a Grail? What's our personal Grails? And we cover all sorts of different topics. So if you're interested in Star Wars Funko Pops and you like that kind of stuff, tune in. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube.
Nice. Awesome. All right, guys. So I'm going to put all of Patrick's info in the description below for Instagram, YouTube, and for the Popcast. So definitely check that out. But that'll be it for today's episode. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.